and welcome to the Arcane Wonders presentation for the Alliance House Open House online. My name is Robert Geislinger. I am the Director of Sales and Marketing here at Arcane Wonders. Some of you I've met, some of you I probably have not. I got to meet a lot of you at Gamma this year. I had a blast introducing myself. Some of you are used to seeing Tony in this role. He has since moved on to CGE. I wish him all the best. I took over this role about a year ago. In fact, it was about a week before the Alliance Open House last year, which is why you didn't see me. Since then, we've been super busy here, and I'm really excited to talk about how the games that we have released this year are going to be releasing still this year, and give you a peek into what's coming beyond that. So we're going to look into Q1, Q2 next year as well. In fact, some of this is stuff I have not publicly announced anywhere, and you're going to be hearing about first from me. So with that, let's just go ahead and dive right in, shall we? The game that probably got the most buzz this year from us, and I was super excited. This was actually a 2019 release, but it really started taking off around Gamma time this year. And that is going to be Air, Land, and Sea. Now, we are over the moon with the reception that this game has received this year. It's been incredibly difficult, as many of you know, to keep it in stock. I have more stock coming, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I just want to thank everyone who has been selling this game, everyone's been playing this game. We've just been super, super over the moon with how well this has been going. So the important thing is yes, it is hitting out of stock right now again, and we do have the show special. So what's important is we are going to be switching to a new SKU for Air, Land, and Sea. We're going to be doing a revised edition. Note that I didn't say second editions. This isn't a second edition of the game. This is a revised edition. This is mostly going to be quality of life changes for the game, things that have been requested from the various folks. The important thing here is as I talk to people who've been playing the game, we got a lot of feedback that people were playing it in like restaurants and bars and things, or in these darker situations where the lighting maybe isn't the greatest lighting in the world, and that was causing some issues. They couldn't see some of the colors, and they were like, I really love bringing this game with me. It's so compact. I bring it everywhere I go, but sometimes it's hard to see, and people with color blind issues sometimes were having trouble. So this new version is going to help them out. What this is going to do is it's going to increase the saturation a bit. Always a good thing. It's going to make the game pop more and bring it more in line with how we thought the colors were originally going to be. But more importantly, as you'll notice on the cards, there are icons now. So the theaters and their matching cards have iconography that dictate the theater they're in. So that's going to allow people to very easily see, even if they're having issues seeing the color differences, be able to tell what theater. And that was something that was highly requested and we absolutely knew needed to be in a revised edition. Beyond that, the only other thing is just going to be the rulebook has a few clarifications, a few text modifications that don't change the rules or how you play the game, just make it easier for you to learn the game from the rulebook. So this is a revised edition, not a second edition, and because we're running the show special, where I believe it was buy 5, get a 6th one free during Alliance Open House. If you purchase it and we run out of stock on the current edition, we are going to slide you right into the revised edition that is going to be coming out. I believe it's scheduled to arrive around late November. So we'll back order a little, but you will still get the show special and be able to just slide right into the new version. And now you know exactly what the changes are, so you can talk to your customers about that. For those who already have the game and love it, they're not missing out anything major for having the old version. It does not degrade that in any way. The other important parts about Air, Land, and Sea is we do have an expansion coming. I do not have a timeline for that just yet. It is tentatively right now, I believe, called Spies, Lies, and Supplies, and it will be for this version of the game. So we've got more content, and it should still fit in the original box. So moving on from Air, Land, and Sea, we have the Hello Neighbor, the Secret Neighbor party game, or as I've been affectionately calling it, the longest title ever. So this game is based on the Hello Neighbor video game, or rather the Secret Neighbor video game that is an offshoot of that. In the video game, if you're not familiar with it, it is a online social deduction game where you're running around a house. Some people are the kids, some people are the neighbors or secret neighbors pretending to be kids, and you're trying to find the keys to get in there. And that's what happens in this board game as well. So this is really appealing to fans of the video game. The important parts here is that it is these keys. It was incorrectly reported at one point that these were cardboard. These are not. These are thick, hard plastic, and they are replicas of the keys from the game, so they have that toy factor. This was designed by the same ladies who did the Escape Room in a Box, the Werewolf Experiment. And it is meant in every way to replicate the feeling of playing that video game. Something that has millions of downloads. It's on every platform. I think it's on Steam. It's on the consoles. It's on phones. So there is a huge audience for this. And this allows them to bring that Hello Neighbor experience into the real world. This is a bit of an intro social deduction game. And it does play really well with folks who love social deduction, but it really shines in helping a younger audience to appreciate and understand social deduction games so you can bring them into those more advanced games later. This should be a hot ticket item, I'm hoping, for this Christmas. The other nice thing about this game is we have the full support of TinyBuild, and they gave us a skin, an in-game skin that you can only get by purchasing this game. Within every copy, there will be a code that is a one-time redeemable code that gets them a free Spy Neighbor skin in the video game itself. So there's that tie back to a franchise they already love. As I said, this franchise is large. They have the video games. They have a Scholastic book series that I believe did $2 million last year. They have a toy line. So this should be just another piece of that puzzle and really should allow you to sell. If you've got customers who have kids, maybe they're already in this video game, and this is going to be something to look. This also will be taking advantage of the Dized app. Within every copy of the game, there will be a scratch-off code that allows them to get the full tutorial that is not up as of the time I'm recording this. I actually personally need to finish a couple slides in it, but it's a fully animated tutorial, and I believe we are the first publisher to actually include a code in the box that they scratch off and it redeems for their copy of the tutorial within the app. So we're super excited about this. If this continues, we do already have an expansion in the works for it. So this is something we're hoping has some life. But at the end of the day, I just can't get over these keys. I keep them here on my desk. Next up, we're going to talk about the game that was hot at Gen Con Online this year and is anticipated to be super hot, and that is going to be Aquatica. Now, this is another game in our Dice Tower Essentials line, the first of two from Cosmodrome this year, and we'll talk about the other one in a minute. But this is a deck building sort of game with these plastic mana rays that has just been super hot. Now, the important things to note about this for you is going to be that you may have noticed this already when we sold this direct during Gen Con and did a few pre-orders direct to our website. We offered the 2019 Essen Kings promo cards that Cosmodrome gave away at Essen last year. Now, those we got with those copies, but additionally, I had them printed for you. So we are going to be, anyone who orders this is going to get the 2019 Essen King promo cards with your copies for your customers, and they're only going to be able to get those through you, the brick and mortar stores. We're not offering this through any other channels other than potentially through our own website, of course. But this isn't going to go out to any sort of mass market channels or anything. These cards are going to be exclusive to the brick and mortar. The other question that's going to come up is the Cold Waters expansion. We have it. It is coming. I don't have an exact timeline. It's coming in 2021. Originally, we did think that might get out this year, but the files needed some more tweaking. We really wanted to make sure that this was done right. It will be coming out a little bit after when Cosmodrome releases it worldwide in non-English markets, non-US. So you will be getting it shortly after. I don't have the exact time frame on that. However, it is coming. So if your customers are like, "Well, are you getting the expansion?" The answer is yes. Yes, you are getting the expansion. We are putting final touches on that. Moving on from Aquatica, which as you can see in the slide here, will be coming out 10/28 is the street date on that, so you can place your orders now for that. We're looking at the other one from Cosmodrome that's been getting a ton of social media buzz, was a hot game at Essen in 2018. We picked it up. They had a successful Kickstarter, but is now in retail full, and that is Smartphone Inc. and the Update 1.1 expansion. Now, Smartphone Inc. is well in stock at the moment. We do anticipate having to do another reprint, so we're going to make sure that you don't run out. For those who've already ordered it, fantastic. I hope that it's doing really well. I recently wrote an article about this game where I said, your customer wants this game. And if you open with it's an economic simulation game, they don't want this game. Unless they're like me and they love games with economics, and that's just their jam. But probably most of your customers are over the moon when you say that sentence. I actually have been presenting this game as this is a game of global economic domination, and normally they want to know more after that. So beyond its shiny bits and all that, the other important question that's been coming up a lot is, what is the expansion, the update 1.1? What do I get if I purchase that? Now, the short answer is you're mostly getting everything that was in their Kickstarter, except the Kickstarter exclusive scenarios. We do not have access to those, but everything else is here. You have the CEO bust, you have the hard mode, you have the additional tiles, you have, more importantly, the 2 to 3 player board. Now, you can play the game at 2 and 3 players just fine in the core game, but if you've got a customer and you ask them and they're like, I normally only play my games 2 players, they're going to want this expansion because it's going to allow them to tighten up that 2-player game in a way that doesn't happen as much in the original board. Again, not saying the original game isn't fantastic 2 players. In fact, it's what I play most of the time. But once I played it with this board, I found that the strategy was just so much different. So if you do have customers that they tend to play more games 2 players, this is an expansion that you're going to want to try to get them to buy. Plus, the CEO miniatures are a nice additional touch. We are super excited about Smartphone. I've loved to see all of the posts and even some of the retailers. I've seen a lot of your posts that you have the game available, and I'm hoping to see more of those. All right, so that's going to cover 2020. So let's talk about 2021. Like, what's coming? What's going to be the hot things? So the first one I'm going to talk about is a game that we are bringing in from Korea Board Games. It was recently covered on Dice Tower to a seal of excellence, and Tom actually immediately had messaged me. He's like, I think I want this for the Dice Tower Essentials line. I'm like, great, let me take a look at it. And I looked at it and immediately was like, yes, I want this. And that is going to be Four Gardens. Now, this is, to me, the perfect Dice Tower Essentials game. This is a medium light game that has family appeal, beautiful artwork, and has a toy factor as well, which I absolutely adore. So if you're not familiar with Four Gardens, this is a resource management little game. But if you notice that tower turns, like you're moving it. It is built when you first get the game. It gave me that sort of feeling like when I had to build the pyramid and Camel Up. And I adored everything about this game. But what I also saw here was a game that I would teach my mother. I would play this with family members who don't play games. And you'll notice the price is $39.99. And that's going to become important as I've kind of taken root here and taken up things. I'm kind of trying to push our Dice Tower Essentials line to really get closer to that $40 and under price point. I feel like that's going to be an important thing. If you're trying to sell those games to your more family gamers, they don't want to spend $100. They don't want to spend even $80. $40 is a sweet spot. It's more of a no-brainer. And if you can do that with this toy factor, you can set this up at your store and moving. People are going to ask, what is this game? This has been a hotly discussed game, I've noticed. People going, when's it coming to the US? And I have not announced this yet. Neither us or Dice Tower have announced this is coming. But we are actually finishing the files right now. This is coming to the Dice Tower Essentials line. You'll notice that I put on there a release of March 21. That is currently the anticipated release date. It is going to be also, I believe, released in France or in French language around the same time. So we're kind of coinciding it to make that happen. But overall, I'm really, really excited about Four Gardens. And now you are also aware that it is coming down the line. Moving from there, we have another Korean board game that some of you may actually recognize. This is an older game. This originally came out in 2013, not with this artwork. It's from Board M, called Sherlock 13. Now, this is a deduction game where you're going to be trying to figure out, it's a whodunit. So you know what's in your hand, and you're trying to figure out and suss out what your opponents have in their hands, and you're writing on what I can only describe as a very substantial pad of items to write on. I have played this game a lot already, and I have yet to dent that pad. This is going to most likely be a limited run. I'm not completely sure yet. You'll notice the expected release is January of 2021. I consider this more of an add-on item. This is if you've got a customer who they already are into deduction games and you know that about them, and I feel like after a while we get to know our customers. This is a no-brainer to try to show them and have it added on. It plays 2, 3, 4 players. It's a 15-minute game. It's got that micro game feel, but it's substantial on the table. But there's no setup to it. You open it, you shuffle, you put them out, and you get going. And it's $17.99, so it's just at that perfect price point. We have been finding more and more through this year that the 2-player or even 3, 4-player games that play in quick amount of times and are easier are really doing well. I attribute that some of that is why Airland has done well and why Onitama's been seeing such an uptick, which we'll talk more about Onitama in a minute. But so like Sherlock 13, currently I anticipate January 21. I may actually make this available to you sooner. It is technically here. I didn't want to overwhelm you with too many things. I know we had Smartphone just come out. Aquatica is coming out. Hello Neighbor is coming out. I didn't want you to get all these Arcane Wonders titles all at once, so I felt it important to push this one a little. But depending on how things go, you may see this one available to order sooner rather than later. But regardless, it's coming. I love the beautiful new artwork from Vincent Dutray that was done. And it's not the original artwork. It is the second version's artwork. We didn't change any of that because the artwork was just gorgeous, and I fell in love with this game. All right, so I just said I'd talk about Onitama. Let's talk about Onitama. Onitama's still going well. I'm super excited with how well it even picked up during this year. Sensei's Path is still doing well. The expansion for the additional movement cards, we actually have initiated a reprint on that. Way of the Wind still continues to do well as well. But the Onitama core game is, I think we're going into our 7th or 8th reprint on this game. It's actually, this year has been harder to keep it in stock. For the most part, I don't think you've been affected, though, because I think I've managed to keep the stock just enough alive. But so beyond that, though, is finally more Onitama is coming. So Onitama, as you know, it's this lighter game. It's 2 players, and it's still going to stay 2 players in this version. But we're going to be doing Light and Shadow, giving this game a little bit more strategy for folks who want that. This is expected currently to release Q2 of next year. We are finalizing everything on it, so I don't have a lot to show you, but it's going to introduce, you're going to have screens, you're going to have neoprene mats behind them while you still have your main board, but now you're going to have a ninja that you're going to be able to move and make movements hidden, and the lanterns that are actually miniatures. The miniatures that I'm showing you in here are the renders from the actual 3D models, and the coloring is close-ish. I did it myself, so... But you're going to have the lanterns that are going to be searching. They could have been tokens, but Onitama deserves the best treatment. We know fans of Onitama really love the experience of it, which is why the new mats will still be neoprene. The game will play in its base version symmetrical. Each person has a ninja. They're moving, manipulating throughout, but it will allow an advanced version for folks who want to play it asymmetrical, and one person truly is light and one person truly is shadow, controlling both ninjas. I'm really excited about this one. This one is expected to have an MSRP of $19.99 because of all the new miniatures in it, the neoprene, the nice inserts. It will still be deluxe. But that's still up in the air. I don't want to tell you 100% it's $19.99, but that is the current anticipated price on it. We did get to show this a little bit to folks back at Gamma, but at the time it was still a very rough prototype, and now we have a finished game as far as the gameplay goes. They're still finalizing the artwork. Going from there, we have now entering in more the games that you may have forgotten about that are going to get some new things. The first one being Ruby. Ruby's still going strong. I've been really happy with the way Ruby has continued to perform, especially since Rooster Teeth, the company that does the anime, is still putting out the anime. It still has a ton of adoring fans. One thing I noticed through the shows that I was at last year was a lot of the folks who have Ruby and they play Ruby and they love it, but are fans of the series, kept asking, when are we getting Team Juniper? When is Juniper coming? I love Ruby, but I hate that I can't play as my favorite character from Team Juniper. Well, we heard them loud over and over again, and we are bringing Juniper. It is in the final development phase right now. The art is already started. Rooster Teeth is wanting us to try to coincide the release with the end of the current season that they are doing. So that way it's at that peak when people are just finishing watching the season of the show and they want more. So Juniper is coming. It will have new miniatures for the Team Juniper characters. It will have new cards, all of that. They'll be able to integrate it right into their current game and now switch around and play the characters they want to play. There has still been some talk about redoing the rule book. That has been the one small thing about the game. We are going to revise the rule book and probably put it out as a downloadable for the moment. So if you've got customers who are like, I'm having trouble learning the game, we're gonna clean that up for them. But the most important thing is, if they ask you, is something coming? Yes, Juniper is coming. I believe Rooster Teeth did announce it during their RTX virtual, but this has not been announced globally yet to the board game community at large, so you are the first folks getting that. Another game, Blast from the Past, that is getting something, Good Critters. Now, I was happy we did do a reprint this year on Good Critters. It is a game that seemed to pick up more steam this year, surprisingly. I wasn't really sure when I got here where to put Good Critters. It was a game that it does well, but it wasn't blowing my socks off. Then this year, suddenly I found myself out and we reprinted it and it's doing well. And so we were talking and we are finally doing an expansion to Good Critters. I don't have much information for you on that. I know it's coming next year, but just keep an eye out that from us or your Alliance rep that Good Critters expansion is in the works. The final game in the Dice Tower Essentials that is getting something new is Viral. Personally, one of my favorite Dice Tower Essentials games that I loved before I got here is getting an expansion. And this came because I had a lot of folks again at shows going, hey, I love Viral. Are you guys ever making anything new for Viral? I'm like, well, maybe we should. So we talked with Amiibo, the original publisher, and they actually had an expansion just sitting there. So I am happy to announce again, this is the first time being announced anywhere, that Viral is getting an expansion called Viral the Hive. This is expected out Q1, Q2 of next year. I don't have a hard date for you yet. The art is done. The rule book is in its last pass. We have approved everything. It is coming. This is going to take Viral to that next level. It's going to take everything that made Viral so good as an introduction gateway, as a word that we still use but maybe don't like to use as much, dudes on a map sort of game, and bring it to that next level. I've personally played it several times already, the new expansion, and I'm in love with it. And I think that the fans are going to love it as well. Additionally, and this brings back to my original point about how I feel like those Dice Tower Essentials family weight games should come in at a better price point. We're doing a reprint of Viral because we are almost out of Viral, but we're bringing back Viral with a reprint at a lower price point. This time it's going to be $39.99 MSRP as opposed to the $49.99. Because again, I feel like around that $40 mark is the price point that it's going to make it easier for you to sell this game to your customers. So Viral is coming at $40. Nothing is changing though. We're not downgrading any components or anything. We just are going to be allowing it at $40. So reprint coming along with the expansion and at a lower price point. For the Hive expansion, I don't have the exact pricing, but I believe it was somewhere around $20 to $25. Check with your Alliance rep once I have that information and send them out to them. All right, so that is hitting the end of my presentation. It's given you hopefully some sort of look into what's going on. But here at the end, I just wanted to just, again, say thank you to all the retailers. I know it's been a tough year. As a publisher, I've seen it, but as a retailer, I know you have felt it even more. And we want to thank you for your continued support. I want to thank those who participated in our retailer program where we gave you back a percentage of any sales you pushed to our web store while you were closed. I don't have the exact numbers, but I was really pleased with that. And just overall, I want to continue to assure retailers that you are important. And I will consistently say over and over again, if customers are playing in your store, they should be buying in your store. They should not be playing it and then going in Amazon and buying the game. If they're playing in your store, they should be buying in your store. And I want to do everything I can to help you out with that. Your Alliance reps are fantastic. Always reach out to them first, but I also never feel like you can't reach out directly to me. If you need something that will help you showcase or sell my games in your store, reach out to me directly and I will get you anything you need. My email is listed here in the screen. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your Alliance Open House online. Make sure and check out our show specials. And I'm hopefully looking forward to seeing all of you when we can in person again. All right. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the show.